Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, and here we are in the Psychology of Eating podcast, and I'm with Caitlin today. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. So if you could wave your magic wand and get whatever you wanted when it comes to food and body and your relationship with food, what would that be for you? What would be your big wish?
Well, I'd like to have a control over my binge eating and that sort of side of it, as well as just having peace, just knowing that I don't have to be in control, if that makes sense. I'm a bit confused here, as I feel like I need to control it, but I also feel like I shouldn't be trying to control it.
Yes.
So I'd like to have peace with that, and also just peace with my body image as well. And just to, have grace with myself. So I struggle with that as well. It's my body image.
Yeah. So how long have you had a challenge with binge eating, would you say?
I go through phases. So I'll go through about 2 or 3 months when I'm fine. I will not have any desire to overeat anything. And then something will set me off and I have no idea what it is. And I will just eat anything and everything the whole day. It doesn't matter if I'm full, if I'm not, I'll literally just grab whatever I can. And I feel like it's a self-punishing kind of eating. But I don't know what sets it off. And that's what confuses me, is I'm trying to figure out what emotions I'm feeling when I'm trying to do this. But all I feel is just I want to punish myself. So I'm just going to eat. So I'll go through phases. So that's where I feel like I need the control, is because I want to know, I'm always feeling like I'm going to just fall into the pit of binge eating again any day. And that's what I live in, a sort of a stress state about that, is just waiting for the next time I'm going to do that.
Yes. I think I understand. So when you do start binge eating, how long will that last for? Is that days or weeks or months?
It's a few days. It'll even just be one day, and then the next day I'll be fine. But yeah, usually it's a few days, and then I'll get back on track, and I'll be fine. And then I'll just wait for the next time it happens.
And how old were you when you noticed this started happening?
I can think of my clearest memory was when I was about 13. Yeah, I was just eating. I think I ate about 4 or 5 toasted peanut butter sandwiches in one sitting. And I remember thinking, this is so gross, but I just kept on eating it. And I still feel like that.
How old are you now, Caitlin?
I'm 25.
Okay. And where are you from?
Harare, Zimbabwe.
All right. Wow. Have you ever been overseas from there? Have you traveled much?
Yeah, I traveled to Australia. I've traveled into South Africa and other surrounding African countries, and Dubai as well. Yeah.
Good for you. So here you are, and the binge eating happens, and you're not exactly sure what triggers it.
Yeah.
So if you had to guess, have you noticed any patterns whatsoever that you can recognize?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I feel sorry for myself. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's when I'm bored as well, I think, procrastinating. Those are the only things that I can come up with, because I know when I feel stressed, I don't want to eat anything. I feel sick when I'm stressing about something. So I don't think it's that. I think it's more when I'm bored procrastinating.
So are you working these days? Are you in school? What is your daily life look like?
So the last 7 years, I used to be a safari camp manager. So I lived in basically a safari camp, and I managed the camp and ran the kitchen. So my life was very regular. I had every day was almost the same. I'd sort out the kitchen for breakfast, and then I'd start cooking lunch, and then I'd start doing dessert and dinner. And then after that, I'd go to sleep and wake up the next day and do it all over again. So I was very scheduled then. So I'd eat my meals at the same times, all of that. But now, after COVID happened, the tourism industry is not the greatest industry to be in at the moment since there's no travelers. So we've actually recently, my fiance and I have recently resigned, and we are now trying to work for ourselves in Harare and trying to make ends meet by doing jobs everywhere. Yeah, casual jobs every now and again.
Understood.
Yeah.
So this binge eating started when you were roughly 13. And so it's kind of been with you before you've had this job, during, and it sounds like after as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are your parents living in Zimbabwe as well?
Yes, they are. They are.
Are you close with them?
I am, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I am very close with them.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I've got a younger brother and a younger sister.
Mm-hmm. How old?
So my sister is 23 and my brother is 20.
Mm-hmm. How's your sister's relationship with food and with her body?
She's fine. Food is not a vice for her at all. She's never ever had an issue with food or eating when she's not hungry or anything like that. Her relationship with food's been really good.
Mm-hmm. So
something I envy a little bit.
yeah, I bet. So when you notice yourself starting to binge eat,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? In terms of how do you talk to yourself? What do you say to yourself? Oh, this will just be over in a few days. Do you just kind of surrender to it? Like, what goes through your mind?
Well, I'll just start. Okay, I'll just start. So I struggle with eating bread. And I know when I'm going through one of these phases, all I want to do is eat bread, which is why I think it's a self-punishing thing, because I know it's going to hurt me in the long run. I'm going to get stomach cramps and all that. So when I am eating it, I feel almost like I have a rebellious attitude, as in I don't care, I'm going to do this. And it's only going to be a few days, literally, as you say, it's going to last a few days and I'll be fine some stage. And it's also frustration. I'm frustrated with myself that I'm doing it to myself, but I still do it. Mm-hmm. So that's where I feel a little bit out of control.
Yeah. So let me just see that I understand it. So you know that you're doing it, and a part of you is just saying, yeah, I know this isn't good for me, but here I am. I can't control it. So might as well just do it until it stops.
Yeah.
And again, what would you say is the longest amount of days that you'll stay in that binge eating kind of mode?
I would probably say a week. Yeah.
So a week at the most.
Sometimes, yeah. I'll then start afresh a new day and think, okay, I need to be on top of this. And then I'll start again, but I'll be waiting for that time that I relapse. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm really good at starting things. I'm not good at finishing them.
Understood. Yeah. So during that time that you're binge eating, it's mostly bread. Would you say that you're doing too much of? Might it be other foods?
Bread and anything sweet. So chocolates, biscuits, anything sweet, soft drinks. I don't usually have sugar in my tea, but when I'm going through one of these phases, I'll consciously put sugar in my tea.
Mm-hmm. And during these times, are you able to work? Do you still get things done in your life?
I think I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can do. Yeah, I do work and finish tasks that are on my list. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you gain weight during these times? Like if it lasted a week?
Yeah. So my weight fluctuates it's about 5 kgs that I fluctuate. I am now probably about 59 to 60 kgs. My lightest has been 52. And that only lasted for a few months. And then I went back to about 60 kgs. Yeah.
Now, are you...
My heaviest
heaviest
was when I was a teenager. 13 was when I started binge eating, and I ate everything. That lasted for a good few months of just eating anything. And I went from, I don't even know what I started at, but I was 75 kgs. I remember being very conscious of being 75 kgs when I was about 13 or 14.
And how did you lose that weight and get to sort of the range that you've been in the last number of years?
I started getting very self-conscious of it because family members would start making comments and friends would start making comments, or people around me in school. So I think, I don't actually remember exactly what happened, but I definitely remember starting to exercise, and I think I might have just stopped eating so much and trying to eat more vegetables because I didn't really eat very many veggies.
Mm-hmm. And are you wanting to lose weight these days?
I'm not so concerned about it. If I do lose weight, then that's a bonus, but I'm not trying to lose weight. I would rather stick where I am, but my body image is so bad, I would never consider myself, I would never go to the beach in a bikini or anything like that, even though I don't consider myself ugly or big or anything like that. I just have such bad self-body image. I probably would never do that. Even when I was 52 kgs, I didn't want to get into a bikini on the beach. And I know that I was quite fit at 52 kgs. So, yeah. So I'm not highly concerned about losing weight.
Mm-hmm. How does your partner feel about your body and your weight?
He says he's fine. I believe that he would be happier if I was smaller, but that's my own belief. He's never said to me that he would. He's always said that my body's great, but I don't know if I'm thinking that or putting the thoughts. I don't know. I believe that he would be happy if I was smaller, but he's never said it.
Yes. Yeah. You know, that's an interesting one because I've spoken to women of all age groups, and it always fascinates me how, what I have found that women who are in partnership with men, that a majority of times, when women are not happy with how much they weigh, they imagine that that's what their partner is thinking, and it's usually not the case. Mm-hmm. Just saying, for whatever that's worth, unless you have direct evidence of it, men I have found are not as specific and granular and, dare I say, even picky about, oh gosh, if she lost 5 kilos, I'd like her so much better. My life would be so much happier. Men usually don't think like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something to consider. So, do you consider yourself a fast eater, moderate eater, slow eater? How would you describe your eating speed?
I'm definitely a fast eater. I try so hard when I'm eating, but it makes me anxious. I'm very conscious of the fact that when I'm halfway through my meal, I haven't actually tasted it, and it's been literally so quick. So I try and stop, but I get quite anxious doing that. Mm-hmm. I don't know why.
Yeah. So if you overcame this, how do you think life would be different for you? How do you imagine you would be, your internal world, your external world? What would be different for you if this was not an issue?
I think I would be more comfortable having chocolates and sugary things in the house if I wasn't such a slave to it. I'd probably be more comfortable in myself around other people and eating in front of other people as well. I'm very conscious of eating in front of others at the moment, or have always been. I think I'd feel more relaxed and not waiting for the next episode to hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable eating around your partner?
Yes. Yeah, that's fine. It's just eating in front of others. I'm very conscious about how much I put on my plate. Mm-hmm. I think it's because when I was young, I had people comment on how much I was putting on my plate. So I think I was always a little bit cautious of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in general, just with your life, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Family, kids, living in a different place, same place. What do you imagine your life's going to be?
Hopefully have at least one little kid. We're getting married soon, so hopefully in our own house and with a child, or at least one on the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a couple of thoughts that I would love to share with you about your binge eating and body image. And, we can just hear me out and we can talk about what might be useful or not useful for you. It's, part of me, when I hear what you're sharing, I understand how, from your perspective, this is a problem for you, because this is a problem because here I am, I'm doing fine. And then all of a sudden I'm binge eating and I don't know what causes it. And it could last a day, it could last a week, and you can gain some weight during that time. And you're sort of, when you're not binge eating, there's a part of you that's kind of wondering and a little bit bracing yourself for when it's going to happen. So it makes sense then that if I do this every 2 or 3 months and I'm bracing for it, then I want to figure out how to stop it so I don't do it anymore, figure out how to control it. And I want to suggest to you a different strategy to deal with the binge eating, because I get that you want to have it under control. And control means I do what I want to do. I don't want to binge eat, so I don't binge eat. I want to have, chocolate in the house and feel good about it. And I don't have to worry that I'm going to overeat it or binge eat it. So that's one definition of control. But I like to think of it sometimes as you being in the kind of relationship with yourself where you're able to start to trust more how you manage your relationship with food when it gets rocky. So I think the way for you to get where you want to go, so where you want to get to, is that this is not ruling my life and it's not any big deal. So I'm saying the way to get there is different than trying to eliminate the binge eating or trying to somehow have this under control. I think the way to get there is to start thinking in terms of, okay, so you find yourself binge eating. And how do you be with yourself during that time so that you can start to learn more about you? You can start to learn more about, what actually does trigger this for me? And how do I be with myself until it goes away? So even if you can take away 20% of the bracing about when this is going to come and just sort of realize, it happens about every 2 or 3 months. You can kind of look at your calendar and guesstimate when it's going to happen. And to just understand right now that this is just a pattern that you have. And I'm going to say for binge eating and what you've described, what it sounds to me is that, when we're in our 20s, especially for young women in their 20s, you're learning how to be in relationship with your body. You're learning how to be in relationship with food. You're learning how to be in the world. You're learning how to be a young woman. And you're not in your 30s, you're not in your 40s, you're not in your 50s, you don't have all that life experience yet. And, from a young age, you've been managing what sounds like, a job that has a lot of responsibility. And you've come from a past when you were 13 where you gained weight and became self-conscious. Especially when the people around us, even if your parents love you and they start commenting about your weight or your food, it's easy from that age to start to worry about my weight and my food. Mm-hmm. So at age 13-ish, when you started noticing yourself binge eating, my guess is that your binge eating happens when you're in a kind of discomfort that you're not sure of and you don't know how to deal with, and food is just helping you regulate that. That's what it is for a lot of people. I don't know what it was like for you at age 13. I know for me and a lot of other people were going through puberty, and it's a rough time.
Yeah.
Because you're changing, your body's changing, all of a sudden you have a sex drive. You have attractions, you have new thoughts, you have new feelings, you have new sensations in your body. That is a very powerful time for a human being. And it's also a very uncertain time because you're completely out of control. You don't know what's happening to your body. Do you remember what you were going through at age 13? Like what you were thinking in terms of school, in terms of yourself, in terms of friends, in terms of guys? Like what was happening for you?
Well, at about 12 or 13, I didn't have many friends. So we had our caretaker who raised us, basically our nanny, and she left us when I was about 12. So her daughter was the same age as me. So she was basically like my only friend in that sort of age. So when they left, I think that was one of the triggers as well, was having someone who's basically like my second mother and my sister leave. And I haven't seen him ever again since. So I think that's sort of where that uncomfort that you're talking about started as well, as me turning to food.
Wow.
During that uncomfortable time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really big. So, that's an important event. And, just from a standpoint of human development and human psychology, how we work, how the mind works, when there's a key event that causes upset or stress or a feeling of loss at a young age, we're not smart enough at a young age to figure out, oh, this is what's happening and I have to grieve and I have to just handle this in a mature way. And no, there's a part of you that's just sort of left to your own feelings inside. And we reach for the thing that we understand most. Every young human understands that if you feel bad and you eat food, you will feel better. So we know that. You have known that since you've been an infant. Any crying, screaming little baby. As soon as a baby's crying and screaming, you give them some food, you give them the breast, you give them milk, and they're happy within seconds. So we know, I know in ourselves that feel bad, eat food, feel better. So all I'm saying is that it's easy, for me hearing your story to say, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Nothing wrong with you that you did the best strategy that you knew how to do at a young age when you lose your second mom and your sort of sister who's like your only friend, and it's just poof, it's gone. Mm. So you need some sort of relief, you need some sort of stress reliever, you need something that makes you feel good somehow. So it's a turning to food. And what's interesting is that you had no control over that event. You had no control over your nanny leaving and her daughter leaving. So there's no control there. And so in a strange way, it's less that you're bracing against binge eating. Oh my God, when am I going to start binge eating again? And I think there's a part of you that's just going to be bracing against what happened in the past, which is something that's out of your control happened. That was big and eventful and meaningful and powerful and didn't feel good. So it's almost like there's a part of you that's going to be waiting for, like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? I don't think it's conscious, but I think it's a little bit of what's going on. So we often play out our inner world through food. So I know binge eating is a food problem, and body image feels like a body challenge. But in many ways, the binge eating is you really learning as you go along how to manage fear of the unknown, fear of the future, fear of what's going to happen. Am I going to be okay? Is something bad going to happen? And if something bad does happen, or something unfortunate or uncomfortable happens, do I have the ability to manage that? Like, you couldn't effectively manage that experience when you were 12 or 13 years old. But now at 25, you have more maturity to manage COVID. And the tourist industry is not so big. So you make a decision with your partner, okay, we're going to just leave that and try to make ends meet. So you have more wisdom to manage things. So I just think that really what the binge eating, it's almost like it's a pattern from the past that's here to help you step more into your power. And the way you step into your power is to just notice, okay, when I'm binge eating, there's probably a part of you that's going back to being 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
There's a part of you that's that 12 or 13-year-old Caitlin in those days where it's just like medicating. I'm just making myself feel better. So it might even be less important about what triggers the binge eating for you. You know, sometimes it might be triggered by boredom or uncertainty. I don't know now that we're talking that what triggers it is important for you to figure out. I think what's more important is the fact that it happens. And now that I'm in it, what do I do? How do I manage this such that, oh, okay, I handled that. It happened, it came up, it was uncomfortable, I didn't like it, doesn't feel good, doesn't feel good to binge eat. I don't think you're self-punishing. I know it feels that way. It feels like a punishment. If there's any punishment there, it's, I don't think that's the cause of the binge eating. It might be a side effect because, yeah, I can't take care of myself. I want to stop this. I can't. I'm gaining a little weight. I don't feel good about myself. So, yeah, that's going to feel like a punishment. But again, what I think it is for you is it's a reenactment of the past. So you can better learn in the present how to deal with my discomfort. So with that in mind, to me, when you binge eat, it becomes an opportunity called, okay, how do you be with yourself? And how do you manage this experience so you get better and better at it and with yourself? So what do you think would be, I mean, I have my ideas, but I want to ask you, what do you think would be good things you can do for yourself when you start to see, oh, I'm in my binge eating mode? What works for you?
Journaling. I like journaling. So maybe if I were to journal about or trying to find out what I was uncertain about or worrying about, maybe one of that would work.
I love that for you. Who can you talk to? Do you have friends or family or partner that you can really share what's going on for you and feel like you can tell them, here's what's up, here's the feelings I'm going through around this?
Yes, I definitely have some good friends that I can speak to, and my partner as well.
Yeah. So I think creating connection during those times is very important. Journaling is creating connection with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
speaking to your partner, friends, whoever. That's creating connection with others. So you're not in internal isolation. You're not alone. And you can start to just move the energy more and maybe get reflections back from people, or maybe just feel a little bit of love and kindness and feel the security of the people around you that, okay, even though I'm going through this right now, I'm going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah, perfect sense.
Yeah. So I think you're right on track with this. You know, to me, the good news is the binge eating is not daily, it's not weekly, it's not constant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great thing, because there are men and women who are going through much worse when it comes to binge eating. And, you know, part of, I think that I'm trying to look at how our relationship with food is a great teacher for us. So that's the perspective that I come in with. So when I'm asking you questions and listening to you answer and talk, I'm trying to figure out in my mind, how is your relationship with food being a great teacher for you?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be different for your sister, for your mother, for your friend, for anybody. It's all different for all of us. So I'm just wondering, how is your unique relationship with food? How is it being a teacher for you? How is it asking you to grow? Rather than, I have this binge eating problem, I got to get a big stick and beat it down. And if I beat it down, then I'm in control and I live happily ever after. Now, that's one way to look at it, but I'm going to tell you it doesn't really work, because you can't fight your binge eating. It just doesn't respond to fighting. It responds more to presence, to being aware, to inquiry, journaling, to creating connection and intimacy, you know, friends, family, loved ones that you're talking to. And I think in that process, you're going to start to learn about yourself more and more. And instead of battling the binge eating, I almost want to suggest, and I know this is easier said than done, it's like saying, oh, here it is again. And that guy told me to just sort of welcome it to the table, instead of, oh my God, it's here and this is bad. So here's another strategy I would like to suggest. And this is for when you're not binge eating, as well as when you are binge eating. So we talked a little bit. I asked you if you were a fast, moderate, or slow eater. You said it's really hard for you to eat slow because you get anxious. So in my experience, when people are fast eaters and they try to eat slow and they get anxious, there's generally one or two reasons, or both, why it causes anxiety. One reason is many humans are simply conditioned to eat fast. You've learned it from a young age. Your parents ate fast, everybody around you ate fast, you live in a city somewhere, people eat fast. So it's an ingrained habit. And anytime we try to stop a habit that we've been doing forever, it's just uncomfortable. Any habit that you're trying to change, that you've been doing for a long time, it's uncomfortable to change it. So that's one reason. There's another reason why it's uncomfortable for us to go from fast eating to slow eating, which is if I have any concerns around food and weight and body image, then there's a little part of us that's going to think that food is the enemy. Because food is what I binge on. Food is what makes me gain weight. More food makes me gain more weight. Less food makes me lose the weight. So there's a part of our mind, even though we might not consciously be thinking about it, that food is a little bit the enemy. So anytime you encounter an enemy, you want it to be very fast. You don't want to sit down with your enemy and hang out all day. So you've probably seen animals fighting in the jungle. It doesn't last very long. You don't want to hang out with the thing that's trying to chase you. You want to get away from it really quickly. So when you're eating, there's a part of you that has a hard time relaxing with it because food is the very thing that in 2 or 3 months you're going to be binging on. So it's kind of like the lion that's sort of wanting to eat you. So what I'm suggesting is that that's a reason why a lot of us have trouble slowing down with food, because it's asking us to slow down with something that we're identifying as dangerous. So the good news is you and I are designed to be eaters. Like that's what we do. We're human beings. We have to eat. And the practice of slowing down when you eat, it's a practice. So the fact that you're uncomfortable with it, I get it. The fact that it doesn't really work for you, I understand. But I would love to suggest to you that your goal in the next small number of years is to slowly train yourself to slow down with food. And by slowing down with food, what I mean is relaxing with it, taking more time with it, enjoying it, getting pleasure from it, no matter what you're eating. And that's going to train your body to have the power with food that you wish to have. So when you say, I want control with food, what I really hear is, I want to take back my power that I've given to food. Because on one level, food is just a bunch of things on a plate. It has no power over us, but because of our beliefs and our conditioning and what we've learned from the world, food seems like, oh my God, this has power over me. It controls me. I don't control it. So it's not about controlling food. It's about you empowering yourself with food. So empowering yourself with food to me means, as you slow down with it and start to, I can be present with food. If you're with your enemy, it's really hard to be present. You just want to run away. You just want to be afraid and you want to fight or you want to run. So it's learning how to drop in with food and practice. And it's a practice. You're not going to be perfect at this. And it's going to take months or years. But as you do that, you strengthen your choosing muscles. Because if you're going to eat your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, then great. Be there with your food. Relax, enjoy it, experience it, savor it, take time with it. Animals love food. When they're eating food, they're loving the experience. Humans are meant to love the experience the way we love it. So same, even when you find yourself binge eating, strangely enough, when you find yourself binge eating, I would love for you to make your eating, your binging, more of let's say a ritual. So when I train professionals, I talk about ritualizing your binge eating, meaning even if you know you're going to eat a bunch of bread, or you know you're going to eat the chocolate, like actually sit down, put the bread on the plate, play some music, sit in a comfortable place, and say, heck, I'm going to eat this anyway. I want to enjoy it. I want to get what I want from this experience because you're going to do it anyway. So you're going to do it anyway, so you might as well do it. And that means slow down, savor it, and enjoy it as best you can. Now, I'm going to give you a little hint. When we slow down in that way, you might notice that after a few times, you have less desire to eat as much as you were eating or binge as much as you were binge eating. Because when we binge, what happens when we binge? Like a part of us goes a little bit unconscious, right? A part of you checks out and you just kind of eat. So what I'm suggesting the tool is, or the technique for you, it's the practice. Because binge eating means, on one level, I am more absent while I'm eating. I'm just more absent, and this part of me is taking over. You called it like a rebellious part of you. Mm-hmm. And it is sort of a rebellious, but I'm going to do this. I know it's bad for me. I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm saying, great. If you're going to do it anyway, slow down and enjoy it. If you're going to do it anyway. And what that's doing is it's training you to take back your power. And you're going to start to notice that the food has less power over you. So I've been talking a lot. Tell me how all this is landing for you and what you're getting from this so far.
It's really good. It's making a lot of sense, and it sounds a lot more simple than I was expecting it to be. It's good. I'm excited to try it all, and I feel energized and eager. Yeah. I'm excited rather than nervous.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you because I really mean it, Caitlin, when I say to you, what you're dealing with is not a problem. What you're dealing with is what you're going to be dealing with for the rest of your life, which is life giving you challenges here and there that are going to make you grow. Mm-hmm. If you're a mother, there's going to be, 100 different challenges along the way. And every one of those challenges is going to help you grow as a person, as a mother, as a partner, as a human being. So it's just, us learning to, I think, look at life that way, and certainly look at our relationship with food that way, which is, this is trying to teach me something. And the something it's trying to teach you is not like you have to have more willpower, stop eating that sugar. It's more you're learning to trust your body and to own your body. I want to mention to you that one of the ways that we improve our body image, everybody thinks that my body image will be better when I have a hotter body, then I'll like my body. And, there are plenty of men and women who have hot bodies and they don't feel good about themselves. In fact, they feel a lot worse about themselves than their counterparts who are, supposedly overweight or thicker or bigger or whatever. So the perfect body guarantees us nothing. What helps in the body image department is when we start to be in our body more and think about it less. So in other words, what are the things you do in life that make you feel good about being in a body? Like, do you dance? Do you move? Do you like to walk, hike, swim? I don't know. What is it that makes you just say to yourself, gosh, that was fun. That felt good. And you weren't even thinking about how you looked or how anybody perceived you. Do you have those experiences for yourself?
Yeah, I really like CrossFit. So I always feel on top of the world once I've done a CrossFit workout. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that makes me feel really good.
Yeah. So that's the kind of practice you can do and notice that feeling. And really, on one level, what CrossFit does for you is it puts you in your body. Mm-hmm. So while you're doing CrossFit, my guess is you're not thinking, oh my God, I might be binge eating 2 days from now, or oh my goodness, I need to be worried about this or whatever. No, when you're doing CrossFit, my guess is you're in the moment and you're in your body, you're in your muscles, you're in your organs, you're in your movement, and you're in your breathing. And then you're not worried about your body in that moment. So embodiment, like just kind of doing things that make us feel good about being in our body, that's the ultimate healer of a bad body image, I think. That's just what I've noticed. But that, for you, I think that's going to come more with time. Right now, you're, I think, in a phase where you're learning how to trust yourself with food. And trusting yourself with food means even when you binge eat, can you forgive yourself? Can you not get down on yourself? And can you just say to yourself, I know this is going to pass, and I know that this is helping me learn about myself, and it's helping me become a stronger person, as opposed to, oh my goodness, there's something wrong with me yet again. Here I am again. So it's really how you stand by yourself. If your husband or your partner or your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, if they're going through a difficult time, if you love them, you don't abandon them. You don't say, oh, wow, you guys are going through a difficult time. Let me tell you all the ways that I judge you and think you're a bad person. No, you don't say that. So it's learning how to be that same way for you. Is just noticing where your mind goes when you're in the binge eating mode, and see if you can just have just a little more gentleness with yourself, or more compassion, or more patience even. So that becomes the practice of being with yourself, because in a way, my guess is when the binge eating originally started, you probably didn't have the kind of containment or support that you needed to go through what you were going through in the life transition that happened. Nanny leaving, best friend leaving, all at the same time. You have no control. You have no say in that. And it's completely just beyond you. There's nothing you could do about it other than eat. So now when you binge eat, the binge eating, it's almost like enacting that old play that happened when you were 12 or 13 of, I'm out of control, I have no say in this, and I'm back in that place again. So it's learning how to have more say in it. And the way you have say in it is you get conscious, journal, reach for help, talk to friends, create connection, have inquiry, get curious, and see what you learn in the moment. And when you're not binge eating, practice eating slower.
Yeah.
And it's just a practice. It's no different than the first time you did CrossFit, you weren't that good at it. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. So the same with eating slow, but always think of eating slow as being present, conscious, pleasured, nourished, enjoying food. Then food is not your enemy. It's not something to fear every 2 or 3 months. You are learning how to create a relationship with food where you're more trusting of yourself. And then when you're going through the binge eating, remind yourself, oh, this is even more of a time to slow down, to literally, and you're not going to be able to do it every time.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you could do it once, you'll see what a difference it makes. Any thoughts you're thinking, questions you have, things you want to share?
That all sounds really good. Yeah, I'm really happy with all that you've come up with, because it just sounds so good. It's landing really well with me. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, I'm really happy for you. and it's you have the right attitude, and you have some support around you. You have people that love you, and that's a great thing to lean on when you're going through a rocky, transition like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Caitlin, I really appreciate the conversation. I just so appreciate you being so open and so willing and sharing what's been, what's really deep for you and what's going on. And I'm sure this is going to be helpful for a lot of people tuning in. So really, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. More to come, my friends. Take care.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.